Today we have a very special one in store, and that's the Honda Rebel 300, a bike I hold near and dear to my heart. Not because I've ever owned one or anything, but these bikes are the starting point for so many people's riding career. It's sort of like this this movie that I've seen. I forget what it's called, but I think it's with Adam Sandler or something. He finds out he's like a bunch of kids' father. He used to be a donor, and he gets found by all of his prior kids to find out that he has 30, 35, 40 children, and he goes and meets them all. That's the plot of the movie pretty much. But I bring that up to say, wow, the Rebel 300, the Rebel 250 was sort of the predecessor to this bike, and those things can be found all over the place with MSF courses and stuff. And it's for a reason. It's because they're light, they're really forgiving, they're approachable for a beginner. When I say approachable, I mean low seat height, not a ton of power, really light, it's easy to maneuver. So in my opinion, weight shows up in a couple different ways on the road. It's going to take more effort or more technique to lean the bike over. Lean equals turn. So if you're not leaning, you're not turning. So if you can't get this thing to lean over, you're going to go straight and you're going to hit that barrier that you're staring at, which is another thing. Don't target fixate. The second thing, and oh yeah, I should say, so the solution to that is counter steer. Push right, turn right, push left, turn left. But when you're first learning, you're starting to lean your body off, hoping that you'll muscle the bike over. On a heavier bike, you will not win that battle. On a lighter bike like this, you might get away with it. So that's one benefit I see as far as a light bike for a beginner. The next thing is right where I'm at right now. I'm stopped at a stoplight. You know, obviously it's super easy for me. I'm 6'2", so you know I'm almost too big for this bike. But let's say that you're, you know, a slightly smaller person. You know, these bigger bikes are pretty tall and they can catch you off guard, you know. Now, here's the biggest debate with the Rebel 300, and if you should go for a 300 or a 500, and that is highways. I'm actually going to take a different route for this bike than I normally do, just so I can show you guys what highways are really like on this bike. See if it's really dangerous, or if it's something that with some technique and finesse you can do safely. So what I'm going to do, this is a trick. Make sure to wait until you're up to speed before you fully merge in. You're just going to be better off that way. If you try getting up to speed in the lane that you're merging into, that's a recipe for getting rear-ended. You can't really get mad at them for that. So yeah, this bike is fairly slow. You'll definitely want to chill out in the right lane if you're doing anything on the highway on this bike for a while. It's almost a little, I shouldn't even say almost, it's pretty much just scary on the highway with this one. But it's light, it's flickable for sure. So in that way, it's pretty good. This is a 6-speed, and I can tell just based off of vibrations that I'm getting close to top of 6th gear here while I'm exiting the highway. I did not love that experience. I felt at risk, I felt at mercy, and I still feel in mercy. I didn't have enough torque to get around that Prius right there. If she wanted to cut over, she could have, and I would have had no options but the brakes, which are a great option still. But wow, sometimes that can't work out either. As much as I don't want to, I'm going to force myself to get back on the highway for the rest of this test ride. See if I can find a way to make this manageable. So this thing doesn't have too much acceleration pretty much anywhere. Up top, down low, on the highway, middle. It will just give you enough power to get to the speed limit. If you want more than that, hey man, you're asking way too much. All jokes aside, for the folks who are going to be doing more highway speeds, probably aim more for the 500. I understand, you know, bigger numbers, they sound a little bit scarier when you're first starting out. Totally get it, we've all been there. But man, when it comes to safety on the highway, these bigger numbers can really help you out. And you're about to see again right now, but sort of just what I was going over on this past section of the highway. Speed can bail you out sometimes. Sure, speed can get you in trouble if you're using it wrong, but if you're just taking it easy, you're the person that just wants to coast at 65, you can still coast at 65 on a 500. Just with the 500, you have the option to go ahead and pass everything and get yourself in a safety bubble. On this bike, you do kind of have to wait. You have to be a little bit smarter about your selections. You have to be very patient. So if you're okay with just chilling at, you know, 60, 65 and then working the highway that way, this will be just fine. But don't expect super smooth high-speed highways. This bike is going to vibrate a lot at those higher speeds. It's a 6-speed, but don't let it fool you. It's a slow 6-speed. So this is pretty much just going to be full beans right here. Well, that's everything. I've been advised not to go over 65, but I can tell by just how this is accelerating, it's not going to go much faster than 70, maybe 75, but you're really going to have to wait for it. You're really going to have to wait for it. And so now that I got a car coming up on my left, this lane is ending. How will I merge here? I'm going to actually slow down and let him sort of pass me. But you see, I had to check my mirror to make sure that nobody's behind me, which is why I mentioned earlier that brakes don't always work to get you out of trouble, because sometimes there's somebody right behind you and the last thing that they expect is something half of their weight to slow down, maybe just as fast as them, if not a little bit faster. And at that point, they rear end you and you still get in an accident. So yeah, this bike is for highways. This is pretty much what you're going to be doing right here. You're going to be hanging out in the right lane, managing who's coming up in the merge lane, who's merging onto the highway with you. It's going to be important to manage, because if you have those guys sneak up on you, they're just going to hit you, and you got nothing you can do about it. But part of why this bike exists is for this reason right here. It was so, I did not even counter steer. I actually just leant off the bike and it responded. Now, if you throw a counter steer its way, of course it's going to respond. Very, very easy. But this also means, hey, leaning my body off, it's turning. This is intuitively what people do, is they just lean their body off and it turns and it turns. On a big Harley that I just rode, no way. No way. You lean off that bike, it's still going straight. Until you counter steer. Then it'll think about turning. Go ahead, sir. Far too slow. Yeah, very, very relaxed bike. Honestly, it really is perfect for a beginner. You know, if I was a newbie walking up to this bike, I'd be more worried about my next upgrade rather than being scared of this thing. But everybody comes in different shapes, sizes, and fear levels, and it's only responsible to be fearful of a motorcycle when you're first starting, because these things are dangerous. So if you're looking for something that's easy to start with, maybe something that's a little bit better for just the road while you're first starting out and getting comfortable with motorcycles, this bike is very forgiving. This is no counter steer, by the way. This is all just me moving my body weight around the bike, and it's easy. So yeah, this bike's been fully reconditioned and test ridden, not just by me, but also by our mechanics. So you can find this thing online, onyxmoto.com. Love to help you out.